This is Danny Flexon here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by Matchroom head Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you. There's a lot of people up there to try and remember. As I get a little bit older, Danny, sometimes the memory's not quite as good, but it's a bit worrying at just 42. But, you know, you have to go for everyone, remember their records, remember who they're fighting, and Sunday night, February 27th, 02, it's a good fight at Coley Sislak. It's a proper fight, and I know we're chasing unifications, but this is two elite cruiserweights and a great card as well.
You got Galal Yafai, Olympic gold medalist, of course, making his debut on the show. You mentioned up there he's going to be fighting for a title in his first fight. You spoke to Maurizio Suleiman last night. When you spoke to him, did you also talk about the purse bids that are due tomorrow? Nice segue there.
No, only because obviously we know the purse bids were postponed yesterday. He made it clear to everyone that they'd now take place on Friday, which I actually expect them to do this time for the first time. So no, nothing about that, just about, obviously, when you've got a young fighter turning professional, we've had to speak to the British Boxing Board of Control to say, look, I want to do something different with Galal. No one really likes to watch fighters as good as him have 5 or 6 six-rounders, but sometimes it's part of the development. And I just said to Galal, look, I'd like to bring you in straight into a championship fight. I had to speak to Robert Smith to convince him to allow that, and obviously he knows how good Galal is. Then I wanted to speak to Maurizio to allow that. So Galal's debut, Feb 27th, will be 10 rounds for a championship.
The last time I can remember someone doing something similar was Vasily Lomachenko. Do you compare them in terms of their talent and potential?
I mean, look, talent-wise, yes, I do, but in terms of depth of amateur fights, Lomachenko had, what, 400 amateur fights? So, but look, Olympic gold medalist, and Galal is an unbelievable talent, and I just feel that there's no reason, if he can do the rounds, why he shouldn't be going through those opponents. I don't expect him to fight for a world title in his second fight, but you know, he got beat, didn't he, Lomachenko, in his second fight doing that. So, but I do expect him to fight for a world title a lot sooner than most.
And going back to the purse bids for a second, have you put your bid in?
No, you don't put your bid in till tomorrow, till the purse bid. So we've paid our deposit, and we have to pay 10% of the bid as well tomorrow, which is chunky. Luckily, we got plenty of it. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I got asked another question. So our purse bid is definitely happening tomorrow. As we stand here now, I think they will happen. That can change in 1 minute. That can change in tonight, tomorrow morning. That can change 1 minute before the purse bid tomorrow.
The WBC actually called it the final extension. Yeah. I don't know how much we believe that,
but because sometimes, you know, that final extension would be because another deal was reached or another plan. So, you know, there won't be another delay, I don't think, by people going, oh, can we have a bit more time? It will either be a deal has been reached to do this, or we'll proceed with purse bids. So, and right now, I do not believe that a deal between Fury and Whyte will necessarily be reached. But, you know, it's been well documented, this idea, and, you know, you've got 4 fighters in this mix. You've got AJ, Dillian Whyte, Usyk, and Tyson Fury. Fury is really the one. I mean, he's the king of contradictions. You know, 1 minute AJ's a coward because he's not stepping aside. Next thing, he's the worst businessman in the world because, or no, he's a coward because he is stepping aside. Next minute, he's the worst businessman in the world because he's not stepped aside. The truth is that for the whole model to work, really, Fury would have to go straight into an Usyk fight, and he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to fight for the undisputed fight next. He wanted to have a run out in March, bizarrely. So that's what's held the whole thing up. There's no long-form contracts agreed with AJ and all this kind of stuff. There's been some aggressive approaches from people with a plan that if everything matches up in an agreement, we would definitely be willing to look at from our side. I think that's something I would propose to Anthony Joshua, but it's irrelevant because, you know, Fury was the one who really, quite frankly, didn't really fancy fighting Oleksandr Usyk straight off the bat next. He wanted to have a warm-up in March. Now he's turned around and said, no, I'll fight Dillian Whyte. So right now, that's what's happening. And again, that could change, but as we stand here right now, that's what we expect.
If you had to predict, who would you say will be the next opponents for Tyson Fury and for Usyk?
I think if you're a betting man, I would say Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. But again, like, the problem is you're not talking about one person, you're talking about 4 people who have all got to agree on the same thing. And everybody's open to a discussion, but we've run out of time. So now, like I said, if there's no more delays, some other idea or deal has to be reached in the next 24 hours or it will go to bids.
Have you got kind of a plan in place pretty much almost there for Usyk and Joshua rematch.
That's quite straightforward. All the terms are agreed. We know exactly what we're doing. We just have to decide the venue. You know, I could phone up Alex Krasuk tonight and go, Wembley, end of April, and he goes, great, let's move on. But you know, we've had time to be able to have these discussions. The problem with it as well is it's so well documented that people start getting bored of it all. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, come on, hurry up. And maybe that's, you know, Fury says now, okay, let's just fight Dillian Whyte. And Dillian Whyte has no problem. Dillian Whyte would rather fight Tyson Fury next than have a conversation about all this other stuff. AJ would rather fight Usyk next. But there just might be a clever plan for everybody. But at what point do you go, all right, enough's enough? And it looks like we're approaching that point.
Would Whyte suffer from public perception if he was willing to step aside, even if it was a huge amount of money, given he's waited so long now for his shot?
The situation is that, you know, Dillian Whyte would ultimately get his shot at the world heavyweight title very quickly after that Fury against Usyk fight. But he would rather fight Tyson Fury. Sometimes there's a deal in place that actually you look at and go, yeah, that makes sense. With AJ as well, I keep saying to people, it's not really, yes, it's a huge amount of money to step aside, and it's a huge amount of money to fight the winner. But what appeals to AJ is probably more, I get to become the best heavyweight in the world, unquestionably. If I fight Usyk in April or May and beat him, am I the best heavyweight in the world? Arguably, exactly. If those two fight, and as long as I fight them this year, and that's the key point, right? No, and that's where we get into contracts and wording. If I win that fight, I am the best heavyweight on the planet. So, okay, and from my point of view, I'm thinking AJ training in a new environment might give him a bit more time to get it right in a very important fight. So it's all very well people saying, oh, this and that. Like, sometimes you've got to be sensible, but AJ is a proud man, and as I said, and so is Dillian Whyte. But it's all irrelevant, because Tyson Fury tells you something, tells you another thing, but actually the reality is he'd rather just have an easy fight. You know, because he could fight, you know, under this plan, he could fight Usyk for the Undisputed Championship next. Don't want to do it.
I don't expect you to tell me who AJ's new trainer is, but do you know, has he made a decision?
I don't think entirely. I mean, I don't get, you know, I'm here for advice. I've been involved with the process. I'm not day to day with the training team, the performance team talking about, but I have a good feeling who it will be next. It's not just about the trainer, it's about the environment. You know, for a long time he's been up at the GB system, EIS, which has been an absolute blessing to him. It looks like now that location will change, and it's getting all that stuff right. That's why when we talk about prolonging the Usyk-Fury fight to get that right, to work with a new team, to move forward. You know, the conversation with AJ was, when I had that, I'll beat Usyk. I know I'll beat him next. I said, yeah, but you might also have more chance if you had everything perfect and right. So it's difficult, because now he says that, and she's, you know, and then all of a sudden it's sort of ruffled a few feathers, and you know, and then people work off ego, probably like Tyson Fury now, who could actually have a great plan, but he's ended up going, nah, right, I've had enough, you know. So yeah, we'll have to see. But trainer-wise, obviously that will be in place for camp for his next fight, whoever that will be.
Let me ask you about Canelo. A report broke yesterday, as I'm sure you saw, that he's apparently got 3 options on the table. Makabu, who, as we know, is fighting this weekend. Charlo as a one-off fight with PBC once again. Or a 2-fight deal with DAZN. Perhaps you could tell us how true that is, against Bivol and then Triple G in September. Is there any accuracy to that?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Reynoso and Canelo are now obviously actively looking at who they're going to fight next. The moment came for us to put our suggestions forward. Those 2 are fights that we would like to deliver for DAZN. I'm seeing him and Eddie Reynoso in the next few days in America, and we'll sit down and we'll make our pitch. You know, it's not, he has all these options, and it'll come down, yeah, we get on great and he likes us and everything, but it'll just come down to a plan that he likes, that excites him. Do you know what I mean? It's not really, yeah, he likes Matchroom, and he'll look at the individual fights and go, yeah, those, and it'll be as simple as that. And hopefully that's our plan, and everyone will be aggressively pitching to the pound for pound king, and hopefully we get a chance to work with him again.
Would the Triple G fight be down at super middle?
Yes, I mean, you know, that would be the undisputed world championship, the trilogy, It's a massive fight, and you know, there's still a lot of conversations to be had around that, but it's certainly a fight I would love to make.
Why Bivol first in that case? Is it just because Canelo wants a light heavyweight fight before going back down?
It's not really about the the plan of Bivol and Golovkin. It's Bivol's an opportunity, Golovkin's an opportunity. So I still like the undisputed challenge at 175, which could be Bivol, could be Joe Smith after, and Beterbiev. But it's also with Canelo. I think he's consistently fighting champions. Now, if you look at his last 3 fights, and I take the mandatory away, but Callum Smith was a champion, and even before that, Danny Jacobs was a champion, Kovalev was a champion, Callum Smith was a champion, Billy Joe Saunders was a champion, Caleb Plant was a champion, Dimitri Bivol was a champion, Gennady Golovkin. Like, it's an unbelievable resume, and he like Makabu, another opportunity. I even said to him, "What about Coley? He's a cruiserweight world champion. I know he's a bit bigger. I don't think he's really watched a lot of Coley, but once he sees the size of him, he might." But yeah, exactly. But he just likes challenges, and it's got to motivate him. So hopefully we can come up with a plan that motivates him.
Now, there's been a lot of talk, rumours, reports that DAZN are very close to purchasing BT Sport. I don't expect you to give us inside information on that, but what impact, if that happens, would it have on you and your business?
Well, again, I'm not going to speculate, but if something like that would happen, it would be absolutely huge for us and DAZN, obviously. I won't comment because I shouldn't comment, and I don't know as much as I know more than you. Not mean that disrespectfully, but at the end of the day, it's a big piece of business, and sounds fantastic. So we'll see what happens.
The thing most boxing fans want to know, I suppose, is would a deal like that make it easier to make some of the biggest fights between yourself and other promotional companies?
Yeah, I don't. We don't know the ins and outs of the deal and how that will work in terms of boxing, but it would certainly be a major move for DAZN, and would be it would be fantastic. But we'll see.
Did you ever have that lunch with Frank Warren? How come?
I got COVID, and then I don't know what happened after that. I think I said something that upset him, and he said something that upset me, and we didn't really get round to it. But still open to it. I sent him an offer the other day, a massive offer for Anthony Yard to fight Boazzi, and I said let's meet up and have a chat over it. I know they're go on about the Avanesi and stuff, but I'm sure there's conversations to be had. Right now, I would suggest he's up to his neck with the Tyson Fury stuff, as I am with the Anthony Joshua stuff. But always open for a little bit of food, as you can see.
Great stuff, Eddie. Really appreciate it, and look forward to the show on the 27th.